Welcome back to another episode of SmoothBrainEDH, where we make the smoothest plays with the biggest brains. The SmoothBrain crew wanted to play their personal decks this week, so let's see who brought the best brew. First up is Matt on Lonis, Cryptozoologist. Matt's not looking to make any friends with this deck, as he just wants to make a bunch of clues and steal a bunch of his opponent's permanents. Up next is Sam, who has Ghired, Conclave Exile. Sam specifically built this deck as a Myriad deck, so he's looking to engage in big punchies against all of his opponents. Our third player today is Ethan, who brought Ghyrson Starn, Kellermorph. Ethan built another Rube Goldberg machine, this time utilizing pingers and the like to whittle down his opponents. Last up today is Seth, playing Rashmi, Sans Monkey. This is a Simic control deck, using Rashmi's triggered ability to keep his hand full, counters opponents' important spells, and end the game with big haymakers. We're about to hop right into that game, but before that, please like, comment, and survive so you don't miss out on any of our new content. We have links to our socials, public Discord server, Decklists, and Patreon in the description. Our channel is partnered with Dragon Shield, so if you're looking to pick up any new sleeves or Magic-related products, check out our affiliate link in the description. And thanks to Dragon Shield, they also gave us a code, SMOOTH5, so use that for 5% off your entire order. We're also partnered with Inked Gaming. Check out the affiliate link below if you want to pick up any custom playmats. Now, on to the gameplay.
Looks like Ethan wins the die roll, and he'll start off with a polluted delta, and he'll fetch for a volcanic island, and while he's searching, he'll go ahead and cast his Serum Visions, and resolve it after he's done searching, and he'll pass to Seth while all this is happening. And for reference, he scries 2 to the top. Seth plays a Fabled Passage, and he fetches for a tapped island, and yes, that's a really old island. It looks like a tropical island, but it is not one. Now on Matt's turn, he'll cast Mox Diamond and discard an island, then he'll play a forest and cast Lonis. Then the turn is passed to Sam. Sam will play a forest, then cast Birds of Paradise, and then the turn is back to Ethan. Ethan starts off with a basic mountainous land for turn, and then he'll cast the Sol Ring he top decked. Then he'll cast his Thermo Alchemist, and then pass to Seth, who starts off with a forest, then he'll tap for 2 and cast 3 visits, and this finds him a breeding pool, which he will not shock. The turn is now Matt's, and he'll play a basic island, then cast his Rhystic Study, and then he'll hit Seth for 1, and then he'll pass to Sam. Sam will just play a basic Plains as land for turn, and then he passes to Ethan. Ethan will play a basic island as land for turn, and then he'll cast Ghyrson Starn. And he does pay the 1 to Rhystic Study, and just for future reference, you guys, I'm only going to let you know when the 1 is paid for Rhystic Study. Now on to Seth's turn, he'll play a Waterlogged Grove as land for turn, and then he'll cast Rashmi and pass. Matt will start his turn off by casting Cultivate. This will find him an island to the battlefield and a forest to his hand, and then he'll play the forest as land for turn. He'll then tap it to cast an Arbor Elf, and when it ETBs, he investigates. The turn is then passed to Sam, and he'll start off with a mountain, then he taps for 4 and casts Battle Angels of Tyr. With nothing left to do this turn, he'll attempt to pass the turn, but Ethan stops on end step, and he'll activate his Thermo Alchemist, which will deal 1 damage to each of his opponents, which triggers Ghyrson Starn to do an additional 2 damage to each of them. We then move to Ethan's turn, and he'll play a Flooded Strand, and he'll use it to fetch Shock for a Steam Vents. He'll then activate Thermo Alchemist to 3 everybody. He'll then Flame Jab Rashmi. There's a couple triggers, Rhystic Study, which he will pay for with Sol Ring, so he has 1 colorless floating, and then his Thermo Alchemist will untap. And thanks to Ghyrson Starn, Rashmi will die here. After this, Ethan will activate Thermo Alchemist again to deal another 3 to his opponents. Then he'll retrace the Flame Jab by discarding Witch's Clinic, this time killing Lonis, and this will untap his Thermo Alchemist, and he does pay the 1 again. He'll then tap the Alchemist to bolt everyone again, but he's not done yet. He'll cast the Flame Jab on Birds of Paradise this time, Alchemist trigger, and he pays the 1. And then he'll just pass the turn to Seth. And Seth starts off with a Command Tower. He'll then cast Lightning Greaves, and he does pay the 1. Then the turn is passed to Matt, and he'll start off by recasting Lonis. He'll then cast Shrieking Drake twice, bouncing itself each time, and Lonis will investigate twice. The turn is then passed to Sam, and he'll start off with 3 visits, and he does pay the 1. This will find him a Jetmir's Garden. He'll then move to combat and swing his Battle Angels at Ethan, Myriad trigger. 2 copies are also swung at Seth and Matt, and they have no flying blockers, so everyone takes 4. Triggers. Matt has more cards in hand, so he'll draw a card. Seth has more lands than him, so he'll make a treasure token. And Ethan has more life, so he gains 3. He'll then pass the turn to Ethan, but Ethan activates his Alchemist on end step to bolt everybody. After that, Seth stays on end step to Reality Shift the Thermo Alchemist. Matt will then respond to this by pitching Wayward Swordtooth to cast a free Force of Vigor to blow up Lightning Greaves and Sol Ring. The whole stack then resolves, and Ethan manifests the top card of his library. Then we'll move to his turn, and he plays Otawara as land for turn. Then he'll tap for 3 and slam a Wheel of Fortune. So everyone discards their hand and draws 7 cards.
Okay, I'm discarding a Chrome Box.
I'm discarding Ponder, Boseiju, Regrowth, and Counterspell.
Forest Island, Shrieking Drake, Alankron, Takashima the Imposter.
Boseiju, Condenser Information, Boros Charm, Gruff Triplets, and Ore Shards.
Okay.
After this, Ethan will cast a Fellwar Stone. Then he'll move to combat and hit Sam for 5, and then pass the turn to Seth. Seth plays a Hinterland Harbor as land for turn, then he'll cast a Soul Ring, then a Simic Signet, and then he'll tap out to cast Rashmi again. Then the turn is passed to Matt. Then he starts off with a Delighted Halfling, which will cause Lonis to investigate. Then he'll play an island as land for turn, then cast his own Soul Ring, then drop a Parallel Lives, and then pass the turn to Sam, discarding a forest on cleanup. And Sam starts off by slamming a Doubling Season. After this, he'll shock in a Stomping Ground. He'll then move to combat, but Matt stops before attackers, and he'll Pongify the Battle Angels, which will make Sam 2 monkeys. Then post-combat, he'll cast Impulsive Pilferer and then pass to Ethan. But Ethan will Brainstorm on end step and then move to his turn, where he'll start off with Lava Glide Pathway. Then he'll cast Smash to Dust, choosing to deal 1 damage to each creature his opponents control, and he will pay the 1. Matt will respond by activating his Arbor Elf to untap a forest, and then a total of 3 damage is dealt to all of Ethan's opponent's creatures, pretty much wiping the board, and Sam gets 2 treasure tokens. Ethan will then move to combat, and he swings 2 at Seth and 3 Commander at Matt, and they have no choice but to just take it. Ethan then passes the turn to Seth, who starts off by tapping for 8 and recasting Rashmi. And then the turn is passed to Matt, who will immediately tap for 3 and cast Oko, Thief of Crowns. And that boy is getting +1 and targets Ghyrson Starn with the Elk ability, and he does pay the 2 ward. After this, he casts Rex Sage, and he'll blow up Doubling Season with its ETB trigger. Matt then attempts to pass the turn, but Seth stops on end step to cast a Growth Spiral, and he takes 1 to his land. This reveals a Personal Tutor on the top of his library, which he'll cast for free. This puts Baral's Expertise to the top of his library, and he'll draw it with the Growth Spiral. Then he'll put an island to the battlefield. Matt then has to discard 3 cards on cleanup, and then we'll move to Sam's turn. Then he'll play a Yavimaya as land for turn. He'll then tap for 5 and cast Ghired, and he does pay the 1, and upon ETB, he gets a 4/4 Rhino. He'll then pass the turn, but on end step, Ethan flashes in Ophidian Eye on his Elk Starn, and he does pay the 1. Then on his turn, he'll immediately move to combat and swing for 3 at Seth, and then for 2 at Oko, and they both just take it. Ethan draws a card, and then he'll just pass the turn. Seth starts off by casting a Cultivate, and he does pay the 1, and there's a Rashmi trigger. It reveals Mana Drain, and he'll put it to his hand. He'll then search his library for an island and a forest. He'll put 1 to the battlefield tapped, and then play the other as land for turn. And then he'll pass the turn to Matt. He'll start off by upticking Oko and targeting Rashmi, and then he'll cast a Mox Opal. After this, he'll cast Academy Manufactor, and Seth decides he wants to Mana Drain this. Matt will then play a forest as land for turn, and then slam the 1 ring. It resolves, Matt gains protection from everything till his next turn, and then he'll pass to Sam, who plays a Ganjo as land for turn. Then he'll cast Steel Shaper's Gift, and he does pay the 1. It resolves, and he'll find Lightning Greaves. Resolves, and he'll put them on Ghired. After this, Sam will encore his Treasure Goblin, and then move to combat, where he sings Ghired and his Rhino at Oko, and then a Goblin at everyone. Populate trigger will make another tapped and attacking Rhino, going also at Oko. Ethan can't block, Seth will block with Alchemy, and Matt has protection, so he just doesn't do anything. 1 Gobbo died, so he makes a treasure, then he moves to end step, and the other 2 get sacrificed, and he makes 2 more treasures. Now on Ethan's turn, he'll just move to combat, and he'll swing for 3 at Seth again, who doesn't block, so Ethan draws a card. After this, he'll cast a Talisman of Creativity, and then he'll tap for 6 and cast the Locust God, and will pay the 1 this time. Ethan then moves to end step, and Seth decides to flash in Torrential Gearhulk, and he'll target Reality Shift, which will hit the Locust God. The turn is then passed to Seth, and he gets 3 mana on his upkeep. He'll use it and 2 blue to cast Baral's Expertise. He does pay the 1, and he asks Sam, hey, are those rhinos coming anywhere near me? And Sam says no. So Seth decides to only pick 2 targets, and those are going to be Rashmi and his Gearhulk. And since he gets to cast something 4 mana value or less from his hand for free, that's going to be Rashmi. And he does pay the 1. He'll then cast Eternal Witness, and Regrowth is returned to his hand. He'll then pass the turn to Matt, who activates the 1 ring on his end step to draw a card. And then still on end step, he decides to pay 2 to Baby Rift Rashmi. And Seth will hard cast Force of Negation this. And he does pay the 1. And then still on end step, Matt will crack a clue, and then he moves to his turn. He'll start off with a Rejuvenating Springs as land for turn, then he'll activate the 1 ring again to draw 2. And then he recasts Lonis for 6 mana. After this, he'll cast Coiling Oracle, and Sam will respond by Path of Exiling Lonis. He does pay the 1, but Matt's got the Fierce Guardianship. So when the Oracle resolves, he'll reveal an Otawara from the top of his library and make 2 clue tokens. After this, Matt will cast a 2-mana Junkwinder and investigate twice again. He'll then move to cleanup and discard 2 lands, and then pass the turn to Sam, who starts off by tapping for 3 to Generous Gift Rhystic Study. Matt gets 2 elephants thanks to Parallel Lives, and then Sam will cast a Shamanic Revelation. This will draw him 3 and gain him 8. Then he'll play a Wooded Foothills as land for turn. Then he moves to combat and swings Ghired at Ethan and the Populated Rhino at Matt. And yes, he does forget to untap those 2 rhinos. He's not swinging with them. Matt blocks with his Junkwinder, and Ethan takes the 2. And then the turn is passed to Ethan. And he'll start off with a Firebrand Archer, and then he'll cast a Tandem Lookout, which will be soul bonded to the Archer. He'll then cast a Pyretic Ritual, which triggers the Archer and draws him 3 cards. Then he slams Dockside Extortionist, and Matt will respond by cracking a clue to draw a card. And this gets him a total of 13 treasure tokens. After this, he'll cast an Opt. Triggers will deal 1 damage to each of his opponents, and he'll draw 3 more cards. After the Opt resolves, he casts Kessig Flame Breather, and then a Mystical Tutor. Triggers, his opponents each take 2 damage, and then he'll draw 3 cards. And he tutors Fierce Guardianship to the top of his library. After this, Ethan will retrace Flame Jab to kill his own Firebrand Archer, and then he'll slam Niv Mizzet Perun and Soul Bond it to the Tandem Lookout. And yes, he does forget to put the Archer in its graveyard. He was a little excited to get this combo off. Heck, I would be too. He'll cast Fear Fire Foes, X is 0, which will trigger Niv Mizzet, drawing him a card. And when he draws that card, Niv Mizzet will ping someone for 1, which will draw him another card, which will trigger Niv Mizzet to ping someone for 1 again, and so on and so forth until he wins. Now it is possible Ethan could draw out before killing everyone, so the table has him count his library, and he needs at least 44 cards in his library. And once he gets to 44, everyone concedes, because that's enough to kill them. And that makes Ethan, Ghyrson Starn, and I guess Niv Mizzet as well, the winners. Well everyone, there you have it. Ethan and Ghyrson Starn win. I gotta say, Ethan played really well. He had a crazy early game and got neutered shortly after, but he was able to play it patient and win in the end. Ghyrson Starn is a crazy commander that you gotta deal with almost immediately. Just 1 turn of him being around cut everyone down to almost half their life. What did you guys think though? Did you enjoy it? If you did, leave a comment down below, and be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. At all of our patrons, I love all you guys, you're the best. Anyways, that's all for today. I hope you all have a smooth day.